Let's make this super easy, never-failing recipe for moist chocolate cake. You need the following ingredients: flour, cocoa powder, sugar, salt, baking soda, baking powder, milk, vegetable oil, eggs and coffee. Just mix all the dry ingredients in the mixing bowl. Then add all the wet ingredients after. Mix for about 60 seconds. Then transfer to the baking pan. Bake for 40 to 45 minutes and you're done. It's super easy. What will happen if you overmix the cake batter? When you overmix the cake batter, it will result in a much denser but smoother cake. It's almost like a brownie type of cake. And also, an overmixed batter may shrink after baking. It will not rise that much after it is baked. The taste will be the same though, but its texture is not the moist cake that you want. Now, what will happen if you undermix the cake batter? The taste will be a little different than the usual cake. It's going to taste like cocoa and it is partly salty. The texture is airy and you will see some crumbs underneath since the batter was not mixed thoroughly. The cake may be airy but it will have a lot of big holes inside once you slice it. This is caused by the baking soda and baking powder which were not properly mixed. So it is very important to follow the mixing time in making your cake batter. What will happen if you use a bar of cheap chocolate? The taste may vary. It may taste like milk, it may taste like bland chocolate, and it may even taste salty sometimes. The result on your cake may even change, like it will look pale. Can you use one egg? No. This will make your cake more airy and dry if you use one egg only. Can you use other types of oil? Canola and vegetable oil are good choices. Others are not advisable since they may give a different aftertaste to your cake. Can you use butter instead of oil? Yes, but you have to melt it first before adding it to the batter. What will happen if you use cold milk and cold eggs? Your cake will shrink after you bake it. It will never rise to its desired height since the cold ingredients will have an effect on both the baking soda and baking powder. What will happen if you don't put baking soda or baking powder? If you omit the baking soda, your cake will not rise. If you omit the baking powder, your cake will not expand or it will be airy inside. Can you use bread flour instead of all-purpose flour? Yes, you can use bread flour, but the result will be different. Technically, bread flour is for bread, so it will make your cake springy and too thick. It may even give you a drier type of cake. Can you use hot water instead of hot coffee? Yes, you can. But take note that coffee adds more chocolatey flavor to your cake. How will you know if the baking powder or baking soda is expired? Get 1 teaspoon of baking powder and put it in a hot cup of water. It should make lots of bubbles. For the baking soda, do the same process but put it in a room temperature cup of water. It should also make a lot of bubbles. Don't use vinegar as it will always make bubbles even if it already expired. Isn't it that salt will make your cake salty? No. The salt will enhance the flavor of your chocolate and the batter, but do not add more than 1 teaspoon in one recipe. Now, let's make the buttercream. You only need these 4 ingredients: butter, shortening, powdered sugar and vanilla extract. The secret to making a good buttercream is the butter's temperature and its mixing time. In making the buttercream, mixing time is also important. First, cream the butter for 3 minutes. Add the shortening, powdered sugar and vanilla extract. Do not add too much powdered sugar. then mix for another 5 minutes. Your buttercream should be like peanut butter consistency. How do you know if you have the correct temperature of your butter? Take it out from the fridge. Let it rest on the table for 3 to 5 minutes. Press your thumb on the butter. If your thumb makes a dent in the butter, then you're good to go. If your thumb goes way too deep into the butter, that's too soft and it means you cannot use it to make the buttercream. If you cannot make a small dent in the butter, then it is still too cold and too hard, so you need to thaw it for some minutes more. Can you use lard for buttercream? No. Lard is pork fat. It is commonly used in cooking or frying. Bakers use lard only for pastries, but it is never used in making buttercream because of its meaty aftertaste. Shortening is made from vegetables and is best for making buttercream as it produces a cleaner taste and thicker consistency to the butter. Let's jump into making the chocolate ganache. Only 2 ingredients are needed, the chocolate and the heavy cream. In making the ganache, it is important to use high-quality chocolate, not cheap ones. The chocolate should be shredded or cut into small before melting. This will make the process faster. For the cream, you can use heavy cream or all-purpose cream. For every 500 grams of chocolate, add 100 grams of cream. In using the microwave oven, the trick is not to heat the ingredients for more than a minute. Heat the chocolate mix for an interval of 15 seconds, then mix until the ganache is done. Can you use milk instead of heavy cream or all-purpose cream? Yes, but make sure that you only use fresh milk. Remember to use room temperature milk, not cold milk. Remember all these. Baking time should be strictly followed to avoid over-baking or under-baking your cake. Measuring cups, measuring spoons, and weighing scales are very important to get the correct cake texture. The oven's temperature plays a big part in making a good chocolate cake. Baking pans should always be coated with oil and flour and lined all the time. Quality ingredients will always result in the quality of the cake. Last but not least, knowing the right technique in baking is better than just knowing the recipe. If you miss a step or you miscalculate the baking time, or you underbake or overbake, chances are, you won't get the best results for your baked product. And how do you cover your cake with ganache or buttercream? That's up next. So see you on our next complete guide in making and designing your moist chocolate cake.